Hello and welcome everyone in another episode of Researcher Celebrity. Today we have Dr. Neha Srivastava with us to share her journey and challenges of which a researcher faces in their life at different stages. So a brief, Dr. Neha has done her PhD and Masters from Barkatullah University, and then she got BCIL Trainee Award for which she worked at Dabur International, and then she joined DRDO Gwalior for her PhD, which was awarded by Bharatiya University, Coimbatore, following which she joined LifeCell International Private Limited at Manesar. And then presently, she is a senior research scientist at True PCR, which is a manufacturing company where they make qPCRs. And her work with viruses and all the challenges, we will listen from her. First of all, I would like to welcome Dr. Neha to take the time out and share the journey with us.
Thank you so much for having me on this platform, and I also congratulate you for having such great platform to celebrate research and their hardship.
Thank you very much, Dr. Neha, for the kind words. So let's start the conversation. Our first question always is like, how and when you decided that you wanted to be a researcher?
Okay. So since my childhood only, I was always curious to know about the logics behind the things happening in day-to-day life. So especially when they are related to life cell, living organisms, plants and animals, insects, and especially to the whole body, why this is happening like this, what is happening if we are taking this and that. So from childhood, I was a little curious about things, how does it happen, and always thinking about the logics, what is the perception behind the thing. So this is how it started, that okay, science is the field in which I wish to pursue. This is how I decided.
Okay, so starting from picking science as your career, that this is something you want to do, and ended up being a researcher, because most of the people who think of pursuing a career in science in India is like either they want to be a doctor or an engineer.
Absolutely, it's correct. I was also like, I want to be a doctor, because in very childhood, there is no discrimination between what doctors and what all they do, what is research, nothing like that. Just doctor or engineer is the definition. So I wanted to be doctor as well. But meanwhile, as the time passes, what to say, like चीजें अपने आप सामने आती गई, and it got clear with time कि okay, I have to pursue biotechnology, because that time, at my time when I was about to pursue graduation, biotechnology was in literally in boom in India. Then everybody was like कि, okay, biotechnology is the new hot topic to discuss. So this is how we also joined biotechnology, because I was having interest also that to how to clone things, and how to graft, how to make a hybrids, because we used to study in these things in books.
Mhm.
And also it was related in the history of science also. Like we used to study in the history part of the first chapter of biotechnology. So all these things keep motivated to study life science and especially biotechnology. So this is how I pursue graduation in biotechnology and also post graduation. Also, I was fascinated about the industrial applications of the things to be happened,
Mhm.
and I was always very keen towards the industrial things. So,
Mhm.
like the application point, what I feel important is. So I pursued career in that thing, and that led me to do PhD as well.
Mhm. So you had a great thought of translating the research, because now what
Yes,
we are seeing is like basic research is very important, but now people do focus about doing it in terms of translation and quick service and product development. So when you
absolutely.
were working at Dabur and then you joined DRDO for your PhD, how this idea of PhD evolved?
Uh, okay, so when I was working in Dabur, that was little different, because I was working in toxicology department. Honestly, that in our Indian system of education, there is little loopholes. as it is not always about the interest what we wish to study and wish to pursue. It's sometimes like you have to go and then you will encounter what is happening with you.
Mm-hmm.
So this is out of this loophole also. What it actually said also, no, ki, in the discomfort position you will start growing, you
Yeah.
will try to get a better thing also. So I was not much comfortable in toxicology because dissecting animals, that was not my forte.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how I was searching for another things, and meanwhile I got opportunity, like fellowship opportunity, and I gave interview in DRDO and I got selected there as well. It was a opportunity to work in that laboratory, because that was little different, because it that particular lab is working on biological and chemical biodefense, bioweapons. So that fascinated a lot also, because I was also wanted to work always for defense and Indian perception,
Mm-hmm.
that way. So I was very excited to work with DRDO, and although it was for about human viruses, so there was no escape or no reason.
Seems we can't hear Neha. I believe you can just unmute yourself and then probably we'll still have Neha back. So as you guys just saw, that this is the thing, when you just have this idea that you want to pursue something, then just you start working towards it, and that's what Neha was sharing. So yeah, Neha, now I think we can hear you back.
Yeah.
So when you joined, what were the things when you decided that you want to be pursuing your PhD in DRDO? Because what has been heard about DRDO, that it is very tough to get into it, about the system, that you cannot take phones and the life is very strict. So how was the experience, and what were the points which you thought considered before joining as a full-time PhD student?
You are absolutely right. There is no information available about the DRDO. If we are about to search that what we are going to work, it is also a surprise to us. And what are the lab we are about to go? My parents even never get entry in the in the institute. So that is very difficult and little different also because of the defense purposes. But it was a very nice experience to work with. There is no access to the phone also, so there is a life of discipline, I would say. But after maybe few months, we were uh, happily adopted that we are not accessing phone, so
Mhm.
it was a good feat also.
Okay, so that is because accepting nowadays, when people the phones are taken away from people, they feel like they can't do anything.
On.
And especially so doing PhD, did you find it like it was one less distraction when you were doing your experiments?
Mm, Not actually. I was enjoying. Okay, I will share. I share one experience.
Mm-hmm.
Once we were about to discuss with my guide that what PhD topic I have to be allotted. So he suggested some antiviral to be designed for a group of flavivirus.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew one thing, that never a drug or a pharmaceutical product launch in a market, because it's a long story and it's never going to be applicable. So I requested my guide that, sir, I don't want to I want to work on something which I can deliver to the market, given to the society, that can ultimately be useful in my presence, in my livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
So luckily we got a project that time also on that CCHF virus for diagnostic development. So this is how he allotted me to do my PhD. And since then I am into diagnostic and continue to be in diagnostic industry. And I enjoy doing this because I make a goal of developing a diagnostic and provide to the market or to the Indian society.
Mm-hmm.
So we have successfully developed it. We have obtained 2 patents out of them, and 4 5 international publication out of that. So I found my uh, our hardship paid well, and I just hope that the product also come in market as a for a consumer or customer, so that
Right.
they.
No, because getting a patent itself in a PhD is not something which is very normal. And let me tell our audience here that patent is something like you innovated something for which you are granted the patent, and once it is commercialized, then you get a royalty. So you'll be a rich person soon. We believe that they just get commercialized. So Neha, starting from thinking to get a PhD, joining the lab, and then obviously the life of a researcher is not very smooth, but you got
uh,
publications, patents. How different was this when you were talking to your peers from outside DRDO or outside your lab in the DRDO? How was that? Because when you are sharing your news that, okay, I got the patents, I got the publications, and what was the reaction of your peers?
uh, it was very difficult because with the colleagues, with the fellow colleagues, there is after all, everybody is friends, of course, but there is still a sense of competition among everyone. So it was difficult, and for everyone, what would I say? Because it is not so easy to accept ki, okay, she's having patent also, she's having publication also, she's better lucky maybe. So these things have to patience, but have no choice. It's okay if people used to say it's good. Let them talk at the behind.
Yeah.
So always to take as a positive feedback and build a newer heights. That's what
Nice.
I believe.
Nice. So that is a very positive attitude, which I believe is required. So you touched briefly on something. Let's talk about, because we are doing this month special for women in STEM. So did you find any time that it was like in terms of competition, in terms of resources or anything, there was anything which you felt it was difficult for you being a candidate, like female candidate?
Uh, I I would not say I feel much of the competition as in female candidate. I didn't feel much.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, everybody was supportive in that way. They were
Mm-hmm.
helping regardless of a male or female thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think there is nowadays a back at for the female candidates. People are inspiring, people are motivating girls also, and
Yes.
female also to work hard to come in the science or come forward in the field. So that's appreciating. And government also supporting female candidates via different modes like fellowship, scholarship. So that is a good approach also.
Yes.
And I believe there are more female in science than male, so
Yes.
that is a point to be accepted. That
Absolutely. And this is something which we have seen a huge shift within 40 years, because if we see all the seniors like scientists or professors, most of them are male, but now when we see
yeah.
that females are just making their way out, and that is one of the reasons why initially when we started Researcher Celebrity, we never thought that we have to do this, but there is a special need which we still believe that if we go to the rural areas or somewhere else, even in some of the cities, when a female student has to stop her educations because of marriage or because of so many other reasons, that's where idols like you, like Dr. Neha Srivastava, has done so many things, getting patents, publications. You are obviously renowned, at least in your place. And then with the publications, you are known globally. Now, even if people have not met you, they already know your name because somebody is following your research. So, what is this sense of accomplishment, if you have to describe that, when people around you acknowledges your research, or when you are cited from a different country, and then you're like, okay, yes, I have contributed that part.
Yes, it's a very good feeling and a proud feeling that way little, a very tiny part, but we have contributed something in science. So that motivate us to do better also. And if I talk about the marriages and other things for the girls, so I would say that people are supportive nowadays, and like my husband also, he's supporting to do my postdoc if I wish, and whatever I wish to do. So he's that way supporting. My family is supporting. So I would say on the other part of audience that everybody then that way support their wives, girlfriend, what to say, sisters, daughters, to pursue science, because it is a great feeling that people outside India and globally citing your work, and that you have done some contribution to the science, and little contribution make a huge impact. So it is not only reflecting our personality but also the nation's work uh, to the global science. That's a good contribution enough.
Yeah, I think that's a very great way to put into words. So now, Neha, when you were about to finish your thesis, obviously you had publications, you had patents. What was the first thing that you were thinking that, okay, I will be done with the thesis now? Then what I'm going to do?
I when I was about to done my thesis, I was the one thing in my mind that I won't work for few months for sure, because
Mm-hmm,
I was very it was very difficult period. I remember very hardship, lot of contributions, lot of sacrifices it take. But so I thought I will not work for a few months,
mm-hmm,
but things happened that way, that was a COVID time when I submitted, and 1 month only I stayed home.
mm-hmm,
And there was a recruitment very high because of the virology demand. So my mother insisted I just that after 1 month I just dropped my resume to only one company, and that company immediately hired me, called and said, "Ki, okay, you are hired. You have to join within a week, and in Kolkata, new lab is establishing, and you have to handle. You are the signatory authority there." So I was scared. That's COVID. How can I? Because I wanted to stay home because of the PhD stress. But
mm-hmm.
my mother insisted, "Ki, no, you have studied that much in the field of virology. This is your time to contribute in society, and you cannot stay back at home. You
Yeah.
have to go." And she pushed me. I'm thankful to my mom also that she pushed me at that time, and I worked there in lockdown period in Kolkata. That was also very hard. There was nothing to eat well, and tough time.
Mm-hmm.
So we survived, and it's a good experience. Although it's a new learning, and every time when I go in a different way, in a hard way, I found myself to be stronger and come out with new learnings.
Nice. That's a great, this is the attitude which one should always work towards with. So now so you started your PhD before COVID time. So you were an expert in viruses and then COVID came. So as you
Yes,
said, it was just one resume to one company and they hired you because of your expertise.
yes.
What you have to say that PhD has given you now that people are there waiting for you to join their company? If you have to say something about it.
My research was dedicated towards the serology diagnostic.
Mm-hmm,
So, like for antibody detection, we have developed ELISA for the CCHF virus that I discussed.
mm-hmm,
So, during that time also, when I was doing PhD in my fourth year only, COVID first wave hit. So I was working already in the serology or the molecule serology development for one of the CCHF assay, which is the serology assays developing for different viruses is a of more or less of a same procedure.
mm-hmm.
So my guide chosen me. Everything was in lockdown in whole of the nation in the world. But me, my guide selected only me to work there in laboratory. So just me and a few of the 2 3 more scientists. we were at DRDO lab and working since morning to 9, 10, 11 o'clock in the night. And we developed serology assay ELISA in just 2 months. That is exceptional because it is a 5-year program
Yes.
and it takes a lot to develop the whole essays. But we
Mm-hmm.
developed in a very short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a exceptional time also that we hard work that
Mm-hmm.
way. So,
So,
of course,
yeah.
PhD and learning these essays, molecular and serological essays, of course, it has given me a lot because nowadays what is happening is everything is emergence of new viruses or bacteria. And ever a time, diagnostics is the strong foundation of
Yes.
making a new year India, healthier India.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, of course, it will contributed in my personality and my career a lot that I am in this field and I learned a lot from my PhD. Also, I would like to mention from my guide also because he was the person, he taught me not only about the science but also about the life ethics.
Yeah.
So he showed me that how to get the perception of any topic from a lot of directions, lot of different point you can get a outcome of a single thing.
Mm-hmm.
So he taught me a broader vision, how to think from a wider perception. So that what I like to deliver to the new people or the other people to think always from a broader perception.
Mm-hmm.
That helps a lot in life.
So how, okay, so because you started this, let's talk about the role of the mentor or the guide or the supervisor in the PhD. What do you have to say about it?
I would like to mention that PhDs, uh, I bet, I mean, morely dependent on the guide only.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how the reflection of a PhD will be is the reflection of how your guide is.
Okay.
Because I think of dedication of 5 years with a person, uh, truly, like in science, is very important. Plays a very important role because you only not only learn about how to pursue the science but how to carry forward the things also because nowadays what is happening people are plagiarize the work and thoughts also and other things but if it is not natural it's not original it
Mm-hmm.
does not you cannot copy it in number of times so
Yes.
it should be real it should come from your mind it should be original so
Mm-hmm.
that what is very important and I think guide plays a very
So these are the things which I believe that every researcher should, if you are trying to think, or if you're thinking already that you want to do PhD, what Dr. Neha just said, you should always keep this in mind that the lab which you are thinking of joining, how natural, like how original is the work which they are doing, and that how impactful it is to you as well as to the society. So these are a few of the points which I think every prospective PhD student should think about. And now, so Neha, when you decided that and you were done with your thesis, have you ever thought that you want to, as you said, that you wanted to take a rest, but then after that, what were your plans for like the rest of the life? You wanted to be a researcher and doing wet lab work, or you want to take off from the bench and then do some administrative thing? What were the things?
I actually enjoy doing wet lab work and now also I wish to work so that I can deliver to the society again because I totally believe my personal interest is to develop products that can be used in society or in a market.
Mhm.
So for now, I would like to enjoy wet lab work for a few more years.
Nice. Because what we say that once a researcher, always a researcher. So even if you are not on the bench, still your brain
Yes,
is working towards some projects and all that. So
yes.
now here, let's take a time to like, acknowledge, so, because as you said that your mother was very supportive, your husband is already very supportive, how your family and friends contributed for in you being a good researcher?
Okay, so I would like to mention my juniors. They were my juniors as well as my senior, because from seniors I learned a lot. Because in any doubt or in a condition of chaos, I used to discuss with them, and they used to give a new insight to the direct or a direction to the problem. Or they can also guide us or mentor us that way, that how we can make thing better, and how can we pursue an experiment in all other possible directions.
Mm-hmm.
Because in me, if I do it alone, possibly it may I only think in a one direction.
Yes.
But if you discuss with other people, we should discuss with other people, so that we can get their thought process also, and we
Mm-hmm.
can pursue the experiments or anything in multiple direction.
Mm-hmm.
That will be more fruitful than going alone in a way. So
Absolutely.
I would, yes, and I would like to thank my juniors also, because they used to come with me and they used to discuss. And when we used to give advice to other, it is somewhere useful to us also.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, I hope I have little work helped to my juniors in their experiments, and they have also taught me to being a good teacher.
Mm-hmm.
How, what is the possible ways that I can teach them, that how they can pursue their experiments in case of or in paper writing or in anything.
Nice.
So, and my family also, they played very important role, because when I was very frustrated during my PhD, I used to come home. I was like, okay, sir, I'm leaving my home for a few days. I need my mind to be fresh. And literally, it being with family is always I want. That makes me happy and fresh.
Mm-hmm.
So the that they boosted me a lot, that you can do it, you can make it count, like that. We
Mm-hmm.
know that you will do it, like that they used to say. And they supported very well.
Nice.
I mean, one should be, when I what I believe is, it should not, you need to be completely into one thing. You can balance things in life. I mean, your
Mm-hmm.
personal thing also, professional thing also, that make you to walk longer way.
Yes, absolutely. So here you touched about work and life balance. And
Yes.
researcher, this is something which nowadays comes at every forum, that work-life balance is disturbed when you are doing a PhD and or you are in research at a senior position. So now, what are your experiences from your PhD till present? That did you find any challenge in maintaining work-life balance?
Yes, there is a problem that is not very practical to maintain 100% work-life balance when you are doing a PhD, of course. We have missed lot of family functions, lot of family gatherings, but it's okay. I mean, everything is important. So when more current phases we need to look for, like what is more important, we should give prior. Everything need to be prioritized in life. What is important, you need to keep it things up. But it's not always to keep work above all the relations, and not also necessary to keep the relations over the work. So you have to some way maintain both the things in your way.
Mhm. So this is the theory which you just said. How was the practical?
uh, Okay, so sometimes when it is not necessary to attend every birthday meet gatherings and family gatherings, so it's not necessary to go every time and do it. You have to focus also to
Mm-hmm.
compile the study or data, and to
Mm-hmm.
write the paper and to get it published on time also. So there
Yes.
is lot of pressure during the PhD time, because we have very limited 5-year tenure, and we have to compile lot of data, lot of papers, everything. So it's not possible to attend every gatherings also.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you can do it, depends on your when you need a change or a refreshment of mind, you can do it. But
Mm-hmm.
rather you can work as well.
Okay.
And what I believe is time maintain management of time is also very important,
Mm-hmm.
because it is not that way that you have to work day and night to complete a work. It's not that way, because
Mm-hmm.
in DRDO there is a very restricted times, and office time was there.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to work in that tenure only, like 9 to 6 only we have to work. So we have to plan the experiment that way, that in incubation period of one experiment, you can pursue the different experiment,
Mm-hmm.
or you can finish your writing. So that way you can manage the things and complete the all the different tasks in a given time frame.
So time management is another thing which I believe that every researcher has always on their head. And when, okay, so you said that 5 years time, according to Neha, do you think that 5 years is a decent enough or good enough time for getting the PhD awarded?
Yes, I believe 5 years is sufficient. It's not less and it's not more also. It's sufficient to complete your work. If you work a day and matlab, properly, including Sundays, so you can finish your wet lab work in 3.5 years.
Okay.
Rest of the rest of the time you can utilize in writing and other things. And
Okay.
exceptional things also happen, like sometimes reagent issue are there, sometimes fund issue is also there,
Mm-hmm.
which is a practical problem that
Mm-hmm.
the student cannot do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So but we have to maintain that way, that if resources are not available for short period of time, you can utilize that time in writing or doing something useful.
Yeah, nice. So here to all our audience that time management is very important, and sometimes when you see that there are shortage of resources, you can still use that time for writing or doing some other stuff, or at least the least you can do it, or the most you can do is like go out, spend time with family and
Yes,
rejuvenate yourself, because that is
yes,
what
that
is.
is also very important.
Yes. So, Neha, now we are coming closer to the end of our conversation. Now, if I have to ask you that, okay, based on your experiences, what are the suggestions which you can give to new budding researchers, that what are the points they should consider before committing for PhD?
Before committing to PhD, I would say first one should follow the ethics.
Oh.
Uh, Ethics that science ethics, you can say, that you have to work from your heart and soul. You should not copy paste the others research,
Mhm,
and you should obtain your original, of course.
mhm,
One should think of having patience, because PhD take hell lot of things, lot of compromises and sacrifices. So you need to have patience, for definitely, for sure. And one should also stay updated with the skills, because techniques are very important, that makes your PhD or your research worthwhile, or
yeah.
the worthy enough. So you can improve the quality of your research by adding skills and techniques. So you should students should attend conferences or technical conferences as well. So also they need to be updated with the recent studies and the recent experiments what can be. So one should not totally depend on the guide, that whatever guide says he used to do this and that. It's not
Mhm,
that way. It should be you have to explore yourself. You
mhm,
have to find new papers, new research and new methodologies, and you go to your guide and tell them ki okay, let's sir or madam, please let's do this. So
mhm,
I will share one thing. In my laboratory, bioinformatics was not very strong forte,
mhm,
and that time, one of the method using bioinformatics. So I was not also aware of it. but available paper was really getting published in good publications, good peer reviewed papers. So I asked my guide ki, okay, I want to learn this technology and I wish to publish with my virus also.
Mm-hmm.
So we tried hard here and there, and ultimately we make it, and uh, we make it count. And so this is how you should go to guide, by reading new papers and new articles and showing them that this is available. So let's do this type of work also. So
Mm-hmm.
we can also educate them because they are involved
Yes.
in lot of work, and
Mm-hmm.
student is focused only on their research,
Mm-hmm.
their PhD. So this is their duty also to make their research quality wise more good.
Yes. I think that was a great suggestion. And I will say that if all of you, the audience, the viewers who are watching this and following us, that coming up with ideas, suggesting to your mentor, your supervisor, is something which they also appreciate. And this trains you for the future of yourself, obviously, because we don't have a lot of leaders in research. We acknowledge Nobel Prizes, we acknowledge some other prizes. Recognition is something which is not very fancy in research field, and that is one of the reasons why we are having this conversation with Dr. Neha, to celebrate her research, what she has done, what she has contributed to the society by doing her research. And this is something which I believe that everyone should focus on, that you should feel proud of at least your work. And one thing which can make you feel proud is the originality of your idea. If you bring it up by yourself, as Dr. Neha mentioned. So Dr. Neha, you touched about the point of plagiarism and ethics, because people don't a lot, like at least not what I have interacted with researchers, they feel that getting an innovative thought is very difficult, or a very original score, because sometimes it has to overlap with something and there is a minor modification in some other thing which has been done. What are your thoughts about this part?
Of course, something very new is not it's a cup of tea. It's not that easy. Ki, okay, like in Einstein, something got clicked. It's not at practical. But copying paste is not acceptable
Yes.
in science. You
Yeah.
should study and you should regenerate something new by yourself. That
Mhm.
is very important. That makes you a good innovator.
Yeah. So this
Otherwise, you
is,
can always carry one's thing.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So Neha, the second last point or the question which I'll ask is like, do you feel that you are a researcher celebrity?
Yes, of course.
Nice. Thank you very much for agreeing with me, because I have to struggle in our conversations with our researchers, because they say that no, we don't believe that we are celebrity, but you accepted that. Thank you very much for that. Now, I would like to ask the final question, that with all the struggles, with all the challenges, with all the accomplishments which you have already made, you want to be a researcher for rest of life, or you think that at some point of time you want to be something else?
Okay, that's a good question. Whatever I will be in future, but I will not leave behind my research qualities. I will always be a researcher. Whatever it may add on to that quality is a plus, but researcher will always alive in me.
Nice. Thank you very much, Neha, for sharing your journey with us. And now I can ask all my audience that whenever you are watching this video, you can either write to Dr. Neha if you want any guidance from her, because what you can understand and you can see from this conversation, that she's a good mentor. She is very helpful and approachable too. So if you want, you can just Google her name, her publications, read about her, write to her. If you want that Empowering Science Foundation, we can bridge you with the researchers around the world. if you want any consultation with them, so you can write to us also. At the end of the conversation, I would like to say thank you, Neha, for taking time out and sharing the journey.
Thank you so much.